Hello and welcome back. Today we are diving deep into a topic that is fundamental to business, finances, and legal affairs. That is the Negotiable Instruments Act of 1881. It might sound old, but it's incredibly relevant even today. Though the fundamentals lied in British Act, yet it is very important in your day-to-day affairs. So grab a notebook and let's get started. First of all, what even is a negotiable instrument? Well, the Act itself, in Section 13, tells us it's a promissory note, a bill of exchange, or a check. Think of it as a written document that creates a financial right for someone, a right that can be easily transferred to another person. The key idea here is negotiability or transferability. One person can pass the ownership of this document and the right to receive money to someone else. There are two fundamental conditions for the document for what it must be called negotiable. One, it must be freely transferable, either by just handing it over or by signing it over. Two, the new owner, if they receive it in good faith and for value, gets a perfect title. This means even if the previous owner had a dodgy claim, the new owner's right to the money is secure. This is a huge deal and is what makes these instruments so reliable in commerce. So beyond the big three promissory notes, bills of exchange, and checks, other documents like share warrants and bearer debentures can also be considered negotiable instruments because they meet these conditions. However, things like postal orders or share certificates are not, because they don't guarantee a perfect title to the new holder. Now let's talk about the core characteristics. Firstly, possession is ownership. If you hold a negotiable instrument, you are presumed to be its rightful owner. This property right is easily transferred. For bearer instruments, you just hand it over. For order instruments, you endorse it, that means sign it and then hand it over. Secondly, the title is protected. A person who gets the negotiable instrument in good faith for value gets a title free from any defects of previous holders. This person is called a holder in due course. This security is the bedrock of trust in these documents. Thirdly, the holder has the right to sue in their own name if the payment is dishonored or bounced. Plus, you don't need to inform the original debtor that the negotiable instrument has been transferred to you. And finally, there's an expectation of prompt payment. A dishonored negotiable instrument can seriously damage the reputation of everyone involved, so there's a strong incentive to pay up on time. The law also makes some powerful presumptions to keep things moving smoothly. Unless proven otherwise, the court will assume a few things. It assumes that every negotiable instrument was created for some form of consideration or value. You don't have to write for value received on it. It's also presumed that the date on the instrument is correct, that it was transferred before its maturity date, and that any endorsements were made in the order they appear. The law even presumes that a lost instrument was properly stamped. Most importantly, the holder is presumed to be a holder in due course who owns it legitimately. This saves a lot of time and legal hassle. Okay, let's get into the main types. As we said, the Act specifies three instruments: promissory notes, bills of exchange, and checks. A promissory note, as defined in Section 4 of the Act, is simple. It is a written, unconditional promise, as I promise to pay. And the negotiable instrument is signed by the maker to pay a specific amount of money to a specific person or their order. Think of it as a formal IOU. For a promissory note to be valid, it must have certain essential elements. It must be in writing, contain a clear promise to pay, and that promise must be unconditional. It can't be out. The negotiable instrument must be signed by the maker, and both the maker and the payee must be clearly identified. The payment must be a certain sum of money only, not goods or services. Interestingly, while things like place and date are usually there, they aren't legally essential unless payment is tied to the date. For example, I promised to pay Peter Taka 80,000 6 months after date. Next up, the bill of exchange covered in section 5. This is a bit different. It's a written, unconditional order from one person, the drawer, to another, the drawee, telling them to pay a certain sum of money to a third person, the payee. So, while a promissory note has two parties, the person promising to pay and the person being paid, a bill of exchange typically has three persons. The person who writes the order, the person who is ordered to pay, and the person who receives the payment. Think of it as the creditor writing a note that the debtor then accepts. Let's quickly compare them. A promissory note is a promise. A bill of exchange is an order. A note has two parties. A bill has three. A notes maker has primary liability from the start. In a bill, the drawer's liability is secondary. It only kicks in if the drawee fails to pay. Also, certain bills of exchange need to be accepted by the drawee before they are presented for payment, which isn't a concept for promissory notes. Bills of exchange can also be classified. We have inland bills, which are drawn and payable within local jurisdiction, or drawn in someone's own country. Then we have foreign bills, which have an international element, like a bill drawn in London but payable in Dhaka. Foreign bills are often drawn in sets of three to avoid loss during transit. Once one copy is paid, the others become void. Bills can also be time bills, payable after a certain period, or demand bills, payable whenever they are presented. Lastly, we have trade bills, which arise from genuine trade transactions, and accommodation bills, which are drawn just to provide financial help to a friend without any real trade behind them. They are essentially a way of lending one's credit. So, to recap what we've covered, negotiable instruments are transferable written documents like promissory notes, bills of exchange, and checks. They are defined by their easy transferability and the protection they offer to a holder in due course. The law makes several presumptions to facilitate their use in commerce, assuming consideration, correct dates, and legitimate ownership unless proven otherwise. Promissory notes are two-party, as I promise to pay documents, while bills of exchange are three-party, as I order you to pay documents. Each has its own set of rules and uses in the world of finance. Understanding these concepts is crucial for anyone in business, law, or finance. They are the gears that keep the wheels of commerce turning smoothly. I hope this breakdown was clear and helpful. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this video valuable, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. Your active participation and reactions are more important and great incentive for my journey. Thank you.